I'm warning you now, if you have not read The Trials of Apollo and intend to read The Trials of Apollo, there will be spoilers in this video. So many spoilers. You are warned. You are forewarned. If you have not read them and you don't want to be spoiled, go read them and then watch this video. I will be putting like either spoilers or like a picture of the book for when I actually specifically talk about spoilers. But like, there's no way around it. It's gonna be every update. Every update, there's gonna be spoilers. So you have been warned. Spoilers ahead. Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my Trials of Apollo reading vlog. I am going to be spending the next however long reading these lovely books. I'm so excited to read these. I have read previously the Hidden Oracle, but I have not read any of the others, so this is gonna be brand new for me, and I'm so ready. My audiobook for this one is going to disappear in like 2 days from my library, so I'm gonna listen to this right away, right now, and I'm so excited to get through this one. As you guys know, I just finished reading through a reread of the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus, so I'm ready to dive into these. Without further ado, let's get this started. And just like that, my friends, I have finished The Trials of Apollo. It was wonderful to reread this book. Absolutely wonderful. Rick has such a way with words, and the voice of Apollo is so fun. It was a really good time. It was a really good time. Yeah, that took me like less than 6 hours to do, so wonderful, wonderful. Finish this, baby. And I will be venturing into book 2 as soon as my audiobook arrives. I believe it'll be within the next few days. Amazing, but oh my gosh, I love that book. To see like Percy as a senior in high school, and he's just trying so hard to get into college and like to make Annabeth proud and all this stuff, and he's like, boy, I want nothing to do with this. You leave me out of this. Like, I just want to live my life as a normal person for a bit. Is so just real, because that kid has been through so much. And then seeing Will and Nico being just the cutest, oh, it makes my heart so happy. And then Leo coming back on Festus at the end. Oh god, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I cannot wait to see where this goes after this with book 2. So from here on out, everything's new to me. I do know the spoiler in book 3. I know what happens because the internet is a thing. I know what happens in book 3. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. I will catch up with you guys when I start book 2. Hey friends, it's been a hot minute. I am here, should be wearing these, but I have a little bit of a headache, so I'm not. I wanted to pop in because I am currently listening to the Trials of Apollo book 2. Today we went on like a little road trip or whatever, so I don't actually know where I am in the book. Like, I've been listening to the audiobook for the past few hours, I guess, so it's been a good time. It's been a good time. I'm enjoying it for sure. I think I'm right here, chapter 27, so I'm on page 252, so that's super great. But yeah, I am enjoying it, and I'm liking the characters that we've been introduced to in this book. We've got Emmy and Josephine, who I really enjoy. They're so lovely. They're like just the mother figures that we needed in this series. Besides Sally Jackson, of course, because Sally Jackson is the best. They're lovely, and this quest is just a little bit more stressful because Apollo and Calypso, who are both godly beings who have no godly powers, so it's just two mortals, and then Leo Valdez, who is my child. I love him so much. And then they end up getting back together with Meg at some point in this, who is also a demigod. So like they have a little, and like she's a crazy powerful demigod. Like Meg, her powers are so intense. Homegirl is always up there with like Percy. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's like my favorite of the Riordan books and the Riordan quests, but it is definitely interesting, and Apollo's voice is just fantastic. He's so funny. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to attempt to finish it today because there's really not much to go. That's what I'm gonna do, and I'll pop in when I do. Hello, my lovely friends. I just finished the second book of the Trials of Apollo, and this was very good. This is Dark Prophecy. I enjoyed it. It's not like my super favorite of Rick Riordan's books, as I said, but I liked it, and I'm excited to see where we're going. And it's interesting to see how like Roman mythology and Roman history is being brought into this with the emperors and what they've done and like actual historical events. So very intrigued by that. I don't know much about Rome itself, but I did take an intro to Roman class in university. I think it was Roman culture. I think that's what it was called, and it's very interesting to revisit a little bit of that history in these books that I've completely forgotten, to be honest with you. But I am going to start book 3. I'm very nervous about this one because I know what happens in this one. I have been spoiled because of the internet. So I'm ready. Am I ready? Am I ready? No. But I am ready to see more of like the campers come back, I think, because I think we get to see Piper and Jason. Well, I know we get to see Piper and Jason in this. We also get to see, I hope we get to see like Frank and Hazel too, because I really miss them. And like Frank is just so good. Hey friends, it is now a wee bit later. I am a good chunk of the way through this book, almost halfway through, and I'm liking this one a lot. This is a little bit more focused on, well, now we got into the third emperor, right? I'm gonna try find good lighting down here. This one's about the third emperor mainly. We also have the return of Piper and Grover, which is super fun because I love Grover. Like he's just such a fantastic character. And we get a little bit more backstory for Meg. Meg is just like an unending layer of a character. Like she just has so many aspects to her and I love her so much. I just want to protect her. She's gone through so much as a kid. God, honestly, poor her. I am prepared for what happens in this book. Also, okay, spoilers. Jason and Piper broke up in this book. Who was gonna tell me that? Nobody was like made it clear that they broke up before this book. Like I know what happens to Jason in the end. I don't know what happens. I just know that he dies because of Apollo's stupid broken oath with the river Styx. So like I get that. Poor Piper. Like Piper's gone through so much shit. She's gone through all that crap with the Heroes of Olympus. All of it, and then falling in love with Jason, and then finding like a place together, and then after that having to search for Leo, and then finally when you come to a standstill, you kind of sit there and you're like, huh, which is exactly how she explains it. She's basically like, once we finally could breathe, we realized that it wasn't really, you know, and she doesn't really explain it that much because she doesn't actually know Apollo and Meg and Grover very well, so she doesn't explain it. But I've also been spoiled for a bit that she is potentially bi, so that makes me and my bi heart very, very excited. But also just like, poor Piper, man. Somebody needs to all of these demigods need to be locked up in Camp Half-Blood or Camp Jupiter for a year. No gods are allowed to talk to them. No monsters are allowed to touch them. They're just going to stay and live a happy year just once. That'd be great. Just these poor kids. God, these poor kids. And like it's affecting her dad too. You know, I didn't love Piper the first time I read the Heroes of Olympus or Jason. I didn't like either of them that much. But the second time reading it, I like actually really enjoyed Piper's character a whole lot more. She just seemed like such a great girl and she was so strong and so like consistently going against the stereotypes of what like an Aphrodite or a Venus daughter would be, and I love that for her. Like obviously she acts more like she would be like an Athena daughter or a Belladonna daughter, but I love that she's an Aphrodite daughter because it shows that there's all these aspects to love. I don't know, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to reread the first book again of it all. I want to read The Lightning Thief again. I'm not probably going to because like I have so many other things that I want to read and need to read, but it's just like I want that original taste of Percy's humor, and I want him as like a 12-year-old when things were a little bit more simpler and all he had to do was find a lightning bolt. Like these kids just never get a break. Before we go, we're gonna talk about Apollo and Meg's relationship. He loves her so much as though they're like siblings. He just, oh God, there was this one line I just read. Let me read it to you. It's from page 193. It was bad enough that a trio of evil emperors wanted my oracles, my life, my very essence. It was bad enough that my ancient enemy Python had retaken Delphi and was waiting for my death. But the idea of Nero using Meg as a pawn in this game, ... No. Hard stop. Like, Apollo loves her so much and he just wants to protect her. And like, same, this kid has gone through too much abuse in her life. Oh, I'm excited to see how like Apollo is by the end of the series. I'm excited to see, because throughout the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus, you're told over and over again that gods can't change. Yet in like literally this series, the first book, you see Apollo take responsibility for what he's done, and that's just incredible because gods never take responsibility for stuff, right? They are always higher than the mortals' like choices. And then in the second book, he gets a little bit stronger and he like kind of comes to terms with like Calypso and Leo, and mean, oh my god, Calypso and Leo, that's a whole other conversation. They are great, and I hope we get to see them more, even though they're staying with Emmy and Josephine in the way station. I really hope we get to see more of them and like see how their relationship has grown now that Calypso's getting a little bit of her magic back and they decide to like have a normal life as much as they can and go to high school there. Like, I want to see them more, also because Leo's my boy, you know. So I hope we get to see Hazel and Frank at some point as well, because they're fantastic and I love them so much. But I also want to get back to Camp Half-Blood so we can see Will and Nico, because they're my boys. Like, oh god, I just love these kids so much. Oh, you guys know. I haven't really even been talking about my feelings for these books in this entire video yet, so I decided to just word vomit them all at you right now. But oh god, I'm so excited to see where Apollo goes by the end of the last book. I also want to see Percy again, and I want to see Annabeth. We haven't seen Annabeth yet, and I'm mad. I know at the beginning of the very first book, Percy mentions that she's in Boston dealing with family, which we know is the Magnus Chase trilogy. So maybe she's just gone for a bunch of months and that was like Rick's like excuse to like bring her into another series. But I want to see my girl again. I want to see my girl. I miss her so much. So I'm hoping she comes back at some point. I'm sure she will, because like Rick would never do that to us. He would be like, okay, we're gonna have a big reunion in the Tower of Nero, so that the close of the series, you would get like a big reunion of all the characters. That would be really cool. Now I'm excited to get to that book. It's gonna be an emotional book, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna go read this now and stop chatting. Almost halfway through the Burning Maze. I'm ready to have my heart crushed in this last half of the book, so let's go do that. Well, Uncle Rick really said, oh, you guys thought I went easy on you in the Heroes of Olympus? Well, here, have a little bit more grief and about 800 times more sadness. Ow. That's all I can say coming off of this, because like, just ow, I think is the right word for this one. Because not only do we have, alright, major spoilers, Jason dies for no reason. It is such a pointless death that even the characters in the book say it. Like, Piper loses her mind that he died for a pair of shoes. He didn't need to die. He deserved to die in like a glorious battle as the kind of hero he was, but he didn't. And that is so bittersweet. Ow! It still hurts. And then Rick, after that, just sucker punches us with Leo turning up. God, these books. Rick really went, oh, I've given you guys all these like middle grade books with like happy endings and quests and all these monsters that are mythological. And he's like, all right, Trials of Apollo, let's turn that up a notch and give you real live history and real live monsters for these kids to fight that are humans, and real life stakes and pointless death, dealing with climate and abuse, and oh my god, there's so much in this series, and it's all given to us in a package of Apollo. And Apollo is such a, like, his voice is so funny and he has so much, like, he's just like carefree and whatever, and it almost feels wrong that it's coming from his voice. Even though we get the grief, it just feels like he's being performative. I know he's not being performative, but because it's Apollo, the grief that we're feeling, we're seeing it in the other demigods from his point of view, right? Oh my god, it feels so weird. This book really, really upped the ante, and oh man, I haven't been spoiled for anything else that happens in this series, but all I can say is that I still wasn't prepared. I didn't even like Jason that much as a character. What the hell's wrong with me? Anyways, well, I finished this, if you couldn't tell, and I can't say that I liked it more than the previous two, but it was a lot better than the previous two books. Oh man, Rick is a freaking Greek god himself. I'm reading these, and the whole time I'm like, I just want to reread Percy Jackson so I can feel that, like, hug of safety. Does that make sense? Alright guys, I think I'm gonna start the fourth book because I need a little bit of like an uptick of happiness, but I know it's just gonna continue like being wrapped in grief at the loss of Jason, because I know it just picks up right where this ends, and it's just gonna be Apollo telling more of the demigods that Jason's dead, and he's gonna be bringing Jason back in a coffin. Like a real hero's funeral. That poor kid. God.
This series is so interesting to me. I have so much to say about it, and there's so much going on, and yet it still feels lighthearted in some ways. This definitely is not a lighthearted book, but it has a little bit of hope in it. Sort of, not even real, like you're given back, like Palm Springs like gets life back and it gets out of the drought at the end, but like even that's bittersweet because it's tainted with the death of a hero that was pointless, and yet another loss to these emperors. They have not won. It's been consistent losses. Dear God. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go. I will catch up with you guys when I start book 4.
Hello, my lovely friends. Long time no talk. I've officially started the Tyrants Tomb, book 4 of the Trials of Apollo. And I'm loving this one so much. I took a little bit of a break from reading these books because I think the third one just wrecked me emotionally in a way I was not prepared for. I needed a break from Apollo, but now it's officially August 3rd and I'm back into it. I'm planning on finishing this in the next few days and like wrapping up the Trials of Apollo officially. Yes, this one's really interesting so far because I can feel like endgame type of stuff starting to build a little bit because we have the classic, of course, Rick setting up a big battle on this specific day. We have the 2 emperors now. They've like banded together. So there's 2 emperors coming towards Camp Jupiter to do another assault with a army basically of undead zombies, which terrifying because Camp Jupiter has just been desiccated by zombies like days before. They're just dealing with so much grief because they brought Jason's body back, and we have like just that coupled with the loss of so many legionnaires that taste in your mouth, because I know a lot of like Greek and Roman myths have the similar theme of like you have to bury your dead, you can't just leave them lying out because that's really disrespectful to their bodies and stuff. So the fact that I think Frank at one point in here says, oh, we got to see Frank and Hazel again, and they're my favorite. I love Frank so much. He just makes my heart so happy. But yeah, Frank says that one of the lines in the prophecy, something about bodies in the river of the Tiber, I can't remember the exact line. Frank was like, it doesn't mean what you think it means, because like in my, like right away when I read that, I was like, oh my God, there's gonna be like a mass of dead campers in the river. And then Apollo thought that it was a mass of the zombies in the river because running water stops the undead. And Frank was like, no, it's not what you think. It's all the campers that we lost. We never found their bodies because something took them from us. And I'm just like, oh my God, this book series is so brutal. I mentioned in my July wrap up recently that I didn't know how to classify Rick Riordan's books because the Heroes of Olympus is so, I don't know how to classify it because Percy Jackson and the Olympians is very middle grade, and then you get the Heroes of Olympus, which is like a branch between middle grade and YA, and then I was like, I don't really know how to classify Trials of Apollo because we have characters that are like both 16, 17, and then Meg is 12, right? We have like a gap there, but these books are definitely YA in my opinion because they just, compared to the previous Rick Riordan books, they are dealing with some heavy, gruesome stuff, and like they're bringing up myths and stories from Apollo that are fucking brutal, let's be real, and hard to swallow even for me as an almost 24-year-old. I know you can deal with themes like this in middle grade, and if you do them properly, you can be fine. Like, themes are universal, whatever. But I think the way that they're handled in these books makes this definitely more YA, because I wouldn't want my 11-year-old who's just read Percy Jackson for the first time who like absolutely loves Percy Jackson and wants like the fun vibes of like myths and fighting mythical monsters to read this and get like these absolutely gruesome, abusive narratives and characters from history. These people were real, these emperors, and it's just, yeah, these books are definitely YA. They have that level of grit that a lot of middle grades don't have. I know that like Percy Jackson and the Olympians specifically brought up that big question of like, why are we fighting for the gods, right? Like, why are we fighting for this institution almost that doesn't seem to want us, or like doesn't seem to fight for us in like, you know, in return? And then the Heroes of Olympus kind of continues that, but also it's like the question of like what's right and wrong, what really classifies something as evil. And then we have this, the Trials of Apollo is dealing with so many things, and I just can't get Meg's child abuse out of my head, and the way that Nero has so much sway over her.
her. He is gaslighting her every time they interact. And it's one of those things that, like, the Nero's, one of his nicknames is the Beast, right? And so when he talks about the Beast as though the Beast is not him. Like, it's like not his fault. And so when he talks to Meg, like, you don't want to anger the Beast because I can't save you then. Like, it's one of those situations. Drives me, I hate Nero so much. And then I can't get Jason's death out of my head because, as I said previously, it is such a pointless death. It reminds me so much of that scene that we see so often in American media of heroes coming home from war. You know, like that they were just lost on the battlefield, or they were lost in a situation that wasn't like a heroic moment, but they're still considered heroes. Fucking Jason was lost in the middle of what wasn't even supposed to be a quest. It was supposed to be like a search and find for a pair of goddamn shoes. It wasn't even for the climactic moment of going into the burning maze. It was before that. Like, it's just this taste in my mouth that I'm like, yeah, Rick Riordan has something to say with these damn books. Like, he has something to say about abusive adults and the needless loss of heroes. And it just, these books are so good. And like, I've been thinking about how the fact that like, I don't like the Trials of Apollo as much as the previous two series. I'm not enjoying them as much because these books, they're so good and they're so well done. I'm not having a good time. A good time reading them because I get so emotional. And like reading the Percy Jackson series, I get emotional because it's nostalgic as hell. Like, it's a happy, middle grade, goofy, but this has something to say and it's hurting me and it's so good. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to reading and I will catch up with you guys when I'm like further in. I didn't even tell you how far in I am. I'm on page 166. So we're making our way through. Let's see what state I'm in at the end of this. And just like that, my friends, we're done. The 4th Trials of Apollo book. And I'm feeling so many emotions. This one's definitely my favorite. Spoilers everywhere because I can't not talk about what happens at the end of this book. We needed that win so bad. Also, I was so ready to throw hands with Rick Riordan for almost killing my boy Frank. That was not cool. Sitting there and I was like, I literally can't go on reading this without knowing that Frank is okay. So I flipped forward and like made sure to find him speaking again. And I was like, okay, good. He's fine. He's not gonna die. But then we still had to go through the feelings of like seeing Hazel sad and then seeing the mirroring of Jason's death in Frank's death. And then Apollo like saying that even though Frank was okay, it made Jason's death so much more bitter. And I'm like, hell yeah, it does. Because Frank had a true hero's death. Like, he sacrificed himself to bring down one of the emperors. And he lived, but Jason didn't. And right into my goddamn soul. Oh, this one was so good. Yeah, this one's definitely my favorite of the Trials of Apollo. What is it with Rick's 4th books in series being my favorite? Battle of Labyrinth, friggin' House of Hades. This one being my favorites of the series. What is it about being the penultimate book that I'm just like, yes, everything about this is just yes. Oh my god. Alright, well, I got one book left. Not emotionally ready, because Reyna at the end of this, like, we had a lot of goodbyes in this, and I have a feeling that we won't see these characters again in the Tower of Nero. So, like, that's it. And I'm not emotionally ready for that. I can't not see Frank and Hazel again, but I have a feeling we won't. And Reyna becoming a hunter? Good for her. Realizing at the end that she doesn't need a partner, she doesn't need love in her life in that way because she gets it in any other way, and then deciding that she's going to become a hunter was just so good. And I just kept going like, yes girl, you do it. Reyna is queen. God. Rick in this bloody series just does something to me. Anyways, I'm gonna go to sleep. Ooh, that's a good look. When I start the 5th book, I will let you know. We're nearly at the end, guys. We're nearly there. Hello, my lovely friends. It's been a hot second. Hi, hello. I'm popping in because I'm officially starting the Tower of Nero.
I'm not ready emotionally, but my Libby app says I have a day and a half left to finish my audiobook before it gets sent back. So I'm officially 118 pages in. I'm on chapter 12. I'm listening to Robbie Damon's beautiful voice narrating this. It's just exceptional that he's the narrator and he's also Dorian on Exandria United. Like, it's like my worlds are just colliding and it's a great feeling. He's such a great narrator for this series. He's so good. The way he like voices these characters, it just brings so much happiness to my heart. But all right, we're diving into spoilers already because oh my god. So right off the bat we get a train fight between a Gaul and them, but the Gaul is surprisingly trying to help them, which is awesome. We love to see that. We love to see a little bit of change. Like, it's not just everybody's out to hunt them. This person, Lou, every time I hear her full name, I think of Vuvuzela, which is not even close. It's just, I think it's Lugu's, nope, not even gonna try. Her name is Lou, and she's awesome and just super badass. But then, of course, we are mirroring the first book, and they're going to see Percy, who's like one of the only half-bloods that they know in New York who can help them get to camp and all that kind of stuff. But punch to the gut, Percy's not home. He's gone on a trip with Annabeth and Grover. Just punch me in the gut. I wanted to see my babies one more time. Give me Annabeth and give me Percy just one last time. But like, good for them. Percy graduated high school too, which I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of this fictional character. Is that weird? That's weird. It's fine. I'm almost getting a little emotional now. Oh no. But like, if I think about it too hard, I get really sad about this book because it's the last one in this world that Rick is ever gonna write. So like, he says he's ever gonna write. I keep hoping that he'll do like spin-offs for like Nico and Will or like Clarice. I would love to know her story because she just kind of vanishes in like the first book. She goes off to college. Trials of Apollo, first book, she goes off to college, and I love her. She's so awesome. But I wish we could get more in this world. Just give me like the short stories of like Percy and Annabeth growing up and going to college. Like, I would love that, being in New Rome with Frank and Hazel. Anyways, I'm worried about this book. I'm worried about what it's going to do to me. I'm intrigued by the fact that we're not getting the prophecy right off the bat. We're getting pieces of it, which is very cool. What else could I talk about this book? Peaches is freaking hilarious. So is Dionysus. Dionysus comes off completely different in this book, which is so interesting. Also, the way that like Rick is tackling mental health and abuse in this series is just incredible. Like, we get Will and Nico again, and like right away we're introduced to the fact that Nico's just having the hardest time, and he's got like PTSD, and like something's happening to him, and he's just like, he's not eating properly, but Will is trying to be the supportive boyfriend. Will is a sunshine child, and I love him. He's also got a tattoo, which like really threw me. I was like, I thought this kid was like 15, 16. No, if he's old enough to get a tattoo, he's like 17, 18. How old do you have to be to get a tattoo in the States? But like, you know what I mean? Like, the kid's got a sun tattoo. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. He's so good. I love him so much. And like, he's the perfect like brightness to Nico's darkness. Anyway, but yes, I will be finishing this tomorrow. I'm going to take a break right now because I'm not in the mood to read, but I don't have that much left. I think I have like 10 hours of the audiobook left or less, so I can polish that off in less than 5 hours because I can listen to these audiobooks at over 2-point speed, so awesome. But I'll be doing that tomorrow. We're in it now, and we're going for it. Oh my god, okay, so I'm on page 214 of the Tower of Nero. This is definitely not a middle grade book. Nero just had an 8-year-old cut off somebody's wrists. I get full body shivers whenever Nero is on the page. Oh my god, this is so brutal. Also, side note, Will can glow. What? He's literally a sunshine boy. Oh my god. This book. Like, holy god. I keep thinking about the fact that, like, Rick got, like, criticism from people with the Heroes of Olympus series because he didn't kill any of the, like, he didn't really kill anybody. Like, even Leo isn't dead, right? At the end of it, because he just didn't kill anybody. The only person he killed was Octavian, who, like, really deserved it. But, like, he really took that criticism and was like, you want me to be a little more ruthless? Hold my beer. And like, gave us the Trials of Apollo. And like, sure, the other two emperors were brutal, but like, Nero is a legitimate monster?
And every time he comes on the page and does something else, I'm surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm further horrified and further surprised at how disgusting this man is. He did like a full villain monologue before he had the kid like cut off Lucazella's like wrists, her hands at the wrists. I'm not even gonna touch the fact that an 8-year-old went through with it, but because he's so brainwashed and so tortured by Nero because he is fearing for his own safety. You know, casual torturing methods, you know. But like Nero went through a whole villain monologue. It just kept getting worse because it was like the stuff that he was talking about happened in history. So you know this man did this stuff. Yeah, these books so much more horrifying than I ever expected them to be. I just needed to come on here and say that I am disgusted and disturbed and horrified, and I'm terrified as to what Nero is gonna do in the next 180 pages that I have left of this book. Hi, friends. Well, I did it. As you can tell, it was so good. Rick, he never fails in writing such good stories, you know? He just, oh my god. And we got the reunion that I wanted at the end. We got to see Annabeth and Percy. And I even dog-eared it because I'm crazy, but he calls her wise girl. And she calls him seaweed brain again. We got to see Leo, and we got to see Frank and Hazel, and Piper, and her new girlfriend, potentially. Oh, and Meg. And this is the state that I'm left in. What a great series. Done it. I've officially read all of Rick Riordan's books in the Percy Jackson world. He leaves it open enough just to leave it like these kids are just gonna go on with their lives and it's gonna continue to be adventures. Oh god, Rick is such a master with his words. Holy god. Wow. I think that's all I can really say. The battle in here where they're trying to basically take Nero, the Tower of Nero. And then again when we got to the part where Apollo faces Python on his own, it was just so interesting to see the gradual change from Lester back to Apollo, and then that moment in between when even Apollo didn't know who he was anymore, and the fact that he as a god is still awkward and still feels like he is Lester. I think that's so fantastic. The ending, the little bit at the end. Meg says, "You'll always come back." He says, "Always. I promised. The sun always comes back." Anyways, I'm gonna fix myself and I'll come back to you and finish this vlog. Alright, my friends, alright, my darlings, we are in the same corner that I have experienced so much pain in reading this series. I thought it was a little poetic, but I did it, my friends. I've also changed sweaters so you wouldn't have to look at my tear marks, but I did it. I finished the Trials of Apollo. I started it, finally got my way through this beautiful series, and I'm officially done reading the Percy Jackson Universe books that Rick has written. And that means I've only got the rest of the Kane Chronicles and the rest of the Magnus Chase are, I keep wanting to say archives. That's not this fandom. The Magnus Chase trilogy as well. And then I have his new book coming to me in October, and I'm very excited to see what he's got releasing next. We made it through all of these babies. The very first one was a reread for me, The Hidden Oracle. This is where we started it all. This one is just a taster for the brutality that's coming soon. It sets up a lot of the narrative because we have the Broken River Styx oath. We have obviously the introduction of Meg and her powers and her connection to Nero and the inklings of abuse. And I ended up giving this one, I believe, 4 stars. I think it was 4 stars. It was more than I rated it the first time I read it, so it was great the second time around. I'm really enjoying myself in this one. And then we have most definitely my least favorite Rick Riordan book that I've ever read is the Trials of Apollo Book 2, The Dark Prophecy. It was still fantastic. I still gave it like 3.5 stars, but just not my favorite. And this one focuses on the next stage of the quest, getting Meg back, all that goodness. We're gonna see if I can do this in like a rating system here as we go through. And then we have book 3 that just rips out the souls of readers and leaves them on the floor. and I gave this one 4.5 stars, I do believe, and I liked it more than book 1. Liked it is a relative term. I did not like it, but it was very good in a objective sense and like a story sense as well. It was the tragedy that Rick has written. And then of course we have, I think, my favorite in the series, which is book 4, The Tyrants Tomb. This one I gave 5 stars to. And we finally ended with this baby, The Tower of Nero, which is a close second favorite. This was so good, and I think I'm probably gonna end up giving this one 5 stars too, because it was just so good. It was so good, and a lovely culmination of the storyline. I think it was even better, like a better ending than Blood of Olympus, which is the last book in the Heroes of Olympus series. But this is my rating system. This is my favorite to least favorite of the Trials of Apollo, because I like to do this. So we have number 4, number 5, number 3, number 1, and then number 2. Let me know down below if you've read this series. If you haven't read this series and you've gotten this far, I am so sorry. I do hope that you followed all my spoilers, but like that would mean that probably the whole video was muted for yourself, so I do apologize. But if you've read this series, tell me your rating of it. What is your favorite to your least favorite in the series? And also let me know who your favorite character is. I think my favorite character in all of this is Apollo, which is so wild to say, because Apollo in the first book, when I first read it, was just not my type. Like, he was just not the feeling I wanted. But I think, as I've kept saying throughout this entire series, that the strength of this series really was the maturity that Rick had when he approached the subject of mental health, and just the care that children need, and the abuse that often even an institution like the Gods can really implement on people, young people as well, who are so easily manipulated. God, Rick is just so good at what he does, and I cannot wait to see what else he writes so that we can all freak out about a new standalone book or series. I don't actually know what his new one is going to be. I don't remember if it's a standalone or not. I'm just so excited to see what he does, because these characters in the entire Percy Jackson universe are some of my favorite characters of all time. Percy will remain top tier. Pull it together. And Annabeth, I just want to be her. I can't believe I'm done this series. Thank you guys for coming with me on this journey. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate you if you've made it this far, because I know this reading vlog is going to be a long one. So if you did, leave me a lightning bolt or a sun emoji down below for Percy or Apollo. Either one, because I really appreciate it when you guys comment on my videos. And we're just gonna continuously spread the love that Rick Riordan has culminated. Uncle Rick. Why? But also, thank you. Oh god, I'm crying on my books. Oh no. But yes, my friends, I will catch you in another video soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.